Hi everyone, it's Lisa McCrowan and welcome back. And today I'd love to lead you through a self-compassion break. So today's self-compassion break is all about soften and soothe. Soften and soothe. Typically when we're having a hard time, when we're getting frustrated, angry, overwhelmed, annoyed, we get rigid and harsh. Rigid and harsh. And today we are talking about breaking up that pattern, breaking that pattern up so that then we soften and soothe. Soften and soothe. Instead of being rigid, like we get rigid in our bodies, we get rigid in our jaw, there's constriction in our shoulders, our chest, our bellies, and other parts of the body. We want to soften, not relax, because relax can be a charged word. Soften. And then instead of being harsh with ourselves, that's usually what happens for most folks. We get harsh with ourselves, and then we might be harsh then with others. We want to soothe. Instead of being harsh, we'll soothe. Now, this takes practice. Self-compassion is a skill that we can develop. I use this all the time in my work. Every single person that I've ever worked with, we begin with self-compassion, and we weave compassion into our work, and our therapy work as a somatic experiencing psychotherapist, and into integrative coaching. Because self-compassion is the seed to a more harmonious life, harmonious relationships, and connections, and more compassionate connections. So let me actually lead you through this. So whether you're having a difficult moment right now, or you're doing this to put this into your wellness toolkit for later, your self-compassion toolkit, that's awesome. So the first thing we want to do is, when we're having a difficult moment and we're starting to go down that path, we're starting to get into that pattern of being rigid and harsh, we want to say, hang on a second, be right here. That's the first thing. Be right here. And then the second thing, immediately, we'll just put our hand on our heart and vary the pressure. Sometimes people like to put 2 hands on their heart, both hands. Feel the support, vary the pressure. So it is soothing and it's nourishing. And then feel yourself breathing. Feel the breath coming in and out. And then, as I've shared in another video on self-compassion, you can say, this is hard right now. This is hard right now. That acknowledges what's happening. And acknowledges your internal experience. This is hard right now. And then I love giving this cue of soften. So at first we soften, we bring that cue to the body. Soften into the eyes, soften into the jaw, the throat, soften into the heart space, soften into the belly, and then soften into the knees. We tend to lock the knees when we're stressed. So soften into the knees just a little bit. And then soothe. Soften and then soothe. One of the ways, there's so many ways to soothe, but you can just give yourself a hug. You can cross the right arm and the left arm over and just give yourself the kind of hug that you would want from a good friend, or that you would give a kiddo who is having a hard time. Just a nice hug, whether that's then with some swing, with tenderness and regard. I know it's the opposite of what you want to do and what you're used to, but we're switching up that pattern. And I tell you, it will become second nature over time. And then another self-coaching thing that I say is just come back to the hands on the heart, and then just let me begin again. Let me begin again. So notice how you're doing right now, just with these few minutes of this self-compassion break. Notice what might have softened, what might have also enlivened in a gentle way, what you might have let go of. Maybe your judgment is softened of yourself and others just a little bit. There's a little bit less rigidity in the body and in your thoughts. And maybe there's then some room, this possibility of that, like, oh, instead of being harsh with myself, I can soothe. I can soothe. So I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe, let me know in a comment about how these practices are going for you. And again, be well until I see you next time.